Welcome the rare gems. Have you ever noticed how some people just know when something is off, even when no one else can see it? That's the life of a Sigma female. She doesn't chase drama, but she spots it before it even shows up. She can tell when someone's being fake, when a situation is quietly falling apart, or when words don't match intentions. And once she sees it, there's no unseeing it. That kind of awareness might sound like a blessing, and in many ways it is. But here's the catch. People don't always want someone who sees too much. It makes them nervous. It holds up a mirror they're not ready to face. And because she doesn't pretend not to notice, people call her cold, guarded, or too serious. But the truth is, it takes strength to notice the things others ignore and still stay calm. It takes real guts to stay grounded when you're the only one who sees what's really going on. That's why the Sigma female can't be easily fooled or led. She lives in clarity, even when it's uncomfortable. So if you've ever felt like you're carrying a truth no one else wants to hear, you're not alone. And you're not wrong. You're simply awake in a world that likes to sleep. Own that clarity. It's not a weakness. It's your edge. Keep walking with your eyes open, even if others choose to look away. Number 1, they see when people hide their jealousy as concern. Ever had someone smile at you and say, "I'm just looking out for you," but something in their tone felt a little off? Sigma women pick up on that instantly. To others, it might sound like kindness, but to her, it's as clear as a red flag, because she knows when someone's trying to dim her light without being obvious about it. These comments never come screaming with insult. They're quiet, almost gentle. "I just don't want you to get disappointed." Or, "I'm only saying this because I care." But underneath it, insecurity, jealousy, and sometimes fear that she might actually succeed. Let's say she starts a business or leaves a stable job to chase something she believes in. Suddenly, friends or family start speaking with doubt. Not openly hateful, just little phrases like, "Are you sure that's realistic?" or "It's really competitive out there." They dress it up as support, but it's not about her. It's about them feeling uncomfortable with her courage. She doesn't lash out. That's not her style. She doesn't need to prove anything. But she sees it. She stores it. And slowly, she adjusts the distance. Not out of bitterness, but because she values clarity. Sigma women don't just listen to words. They read what's not being said. The way someone's eyes shift, the slight delay before a compliment, the forced smile when she shares good news. She doesn't make a scene about it. She simply stops sharing certain things with certain people. And that's what makes her dangerous. Not because she's loud, but because she's aware. She sees who's really rooting for her and who's clapping with one hand while hoping she fails with the other. She keeps walking, keeps building, and keeps growing, without needing anyone's permission. Because once you've learned to hear the difference between love and control, you stop explaining your moves and start protecting your peace. Number 2, they know when you're in love with their strength, not their soul. There's a kind of attention that feels flattering at first. People admire how she handles herself, how she speaks with clarity, how she stands firm even when things get messy. At first, it looks like love, deep interest, maybe even respect. But the Sigma woman is watching closely. Because here's the thing. Some people don't fall for who she is. They fall for what she represents. Her strength becomes a fantasy. They see her confidence and mistake it for invincibility. They watch her move through life without begging for help and assume she has no needs, no fears, no moments of softness. Let's say she's in a relationship. The partner might say, "I love how strong you are." But the moment she opens up, shows vulnerability, or needs reassurance, they freeze. They were never ready for the full picture. They wanted the image, not the person. They were in love with the armor, not what it was protecting. And she sees that. Not right away, maybe, but she always figures it out. She catches the shift in tone when she says, "I'm tired," or "I need a break." Suddenly they are confused or distant, because they were never really there for her. They were there for the idea of a woman who never needs anything. The Sigma woman doesn't make a dramatic exit. She doesn't explain why she's done. She just fades out. Quietly. Completely. Because once she knows you were more interested in her strength than her soul, the connection dies. She has no interest in performing for people who only like her when she's carrying the world on her back. She's not here to be admired from a distance like a painting. She's real. She has layers. And if someone only shows up for the parts that shine, she'll walk away without a word. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Number 3, they know most people don't want truth. They want comfort. A Sigma woman notices things most people choose to ignore, not because she's trying to be right, but because she wants what's real. She asks hard questions. She listens with sharp ears, and when she speaks, she doesn't sugarcoat. She gives you the truth, even when it's not pretty. But here's the problem. Most people aren't looking for truth. They're looking for comfort. They want to hear that they're doing fine, even when they're stuck. They want support for their excuses. They want reassurance for habits that are slowly ruining them. So when a Sigma woman says, "You're not being honest with yourself," or "You're blaming everyone but you," the room goes quiet. It's not that she's being rude. In fact, she might say it calmly, even gently, but people will still call her cold, too direct, harsh. They'll accuse her of being negative or judgmental. Why? Because hearing the truth hurts more when it comes from someone who actually sees you clearly. Take friendships, for example. While everyone else is saying, "You deserve better," the Sigma woman will say, "Maybe it's time you stop choosing people who don't value you." Or when someone's always complaining about work, she won't just nod along. She'll say, "Then why are you still there?" She's not trying to attack anyone. She just knows that real growth never comes wrapped in comfort. And because she lives by that rule herself, she can't pretend just to make others feel better. What most people don't realize is that her honesty is a form of care. It takes effort to tell someone the truth they've been avoiding. It's easier to lie. It's easier to say nothing. But she refuses to be part of the illusion. So yes, her truth may sting. But if you listen, it might also be the thing that sets you free. Number 4, they can't unsee what they've seen. There comes a moment that changes everything. It might be subtle at first. A strange silence, a shift in someone's eyes, a sentence that doesn't match their tone, and in that moment, something clicks. And a Sigma female knows the truth, and once she sees it, there's no pretending she didn't. It could happen when she watches someone lie without the slightest hesitation, or when she realizes how easily people follow systems that clearly serve no one but the powerful. Sometimes it hits her when someone she trusted shows her exactly who they really are. Whatever the trigger is, it opens her eyes in a way that can't be reversed. Sigma females don't carry around resentment, but they do carry understanding. Deep, sharp understanding. She doesn't just remember what happened, she sees the pattern behind it, the quiet manipulation, the subtle warnings she missed before, the way people protect their own comfort at the cost of honesty. And once she sees that layer of reality, she never forgets. Think of it like being given X-ray vision. The nice coworker becomes someone who hides jealousy behind fake support. The close friend reveals themselves as someone who only shows up when it's easy. The big speeches start sounding hollow. It's not paranoia, it's clarity. Take a simple sentence like, "I'm just trying to help." She doesn't just hear it. She studies the timing, the body language, the pressure behind the words, and she knows it's not about support. It's control dressed as concern. And that awareness creates distance, not because she wants it, but because she can't live in the fog anymore. She'll keep moving through life like everyone else, but something in her has changed. She sees things for what they are, and while that kind of insight can feel lonely, it also sets her free. Because once you see clearly, going back is no longer an option. Number 5, they recognize that being awake can't be reversed. Have you ever noticed something that changed the way you see someone forever? Maybe it was a look, a sentence, or just a strange feeling that didn't go away. That's the kind of shift a Sigma female goes through. Only for her, there's no way back. She doesn't get to unsee what she now understands. Once her mind connects the dots about how people really operate, everything changes. And it's not some loud, dramatic wake-up call. It's usually quiet, gradual. It starts with little things. How often people say things they don't mean. How quickly kindness turns into silence when there's nothing left to gain. Over time, all those little signs form a bigger picture. What other people see as harmless or polite, she sees as performative. Small talk sounds like noise. Forced smiles feel hollow. Rules and expectations start to look like tools for control, not connection. And just like that, she's awake. Picture her in a room where everyone's nodding along, pretending to agree just to keep things smooth. Most would stay quiet. But she's sitting there wondering, why is no one saying what we're all thinking? And even if speaking up makes things awkward, she can't fake it. Not because she enjoys tension, but because going along with nonsense feels worse than being uncomfortable. Once you see through the performance, it's hard to enjoy the show. Comfort fades, but clarity becomes everything. This isn't something she chose. It's how she's wired. And yes, it often separates her from the crowd. But that awareness, that's her edge. That's her freedom. She may stand apart, but she walks with her eyes open, and even if it costs her peace of mind, she wouldn't trade that kind of truth for anything. Number 6, they can read a room better than most therapists. Ever walk into a room and just feel that something's off even before anyone speaks? Sigma females don't just feel it, they decode it in seconds. While most people are still getting comfortable, they've already scanned the room, made mental notes, and picked up on the silent conversations no one's saying out loud. They don't need drama to see tension. They catch the way someone avoids eye contact, how another person forces a laugh that doesn't match their energy, or how someone keeps checking their phone like they can't wait to leave. To others, it might look like nothing. But to a Sigma female, every tiny gesture says something loud. It's not about being psychic, it's about paying close attention. Sigma women listen with their eyes. They observe the silence between words. They notice posture, tone, timing. They spot the friend who's smiling too hard, the coworker whose voice tightens around certain people, the partner whose compliments feel more like rehearsals than sincerity. And the wildest part, they don't confront. They don't need to. They adjust. They respond with precision. They pull back when something feels off. They give space without making a scene. They shift their energy depending on who's in the room, not to people please, but to maintain their own balance. Let's say someone is throwing passive digs disguised as jokes. While others laugh awkwardly, the Sigma woman hears the edge in the voice. She clocks the motive. She doesn't call it out. She just quietly repositions her role in that dynamic. She plays chess, while most are still figuring out how to move the pieces. That's the danger. Not that she sees everything, but that she never lets on that she does. And by the time someone figures out she's 10 steps ahead, she's already somewhere else, mentally, miles away, done playing the game. Number 7, people call it paranoia. When you're just early. Have you ever had a strong feeling that something wasn't right, even when everyone around you acted like everything was fine? That's the constant reality for Sigma females. They see the warning signs before the damage shows up. While others are still getting comfortable, she's already picking up on the cracks. But instead of being respected for her awareness, people label her as too intense or overthinking. It's not that she wants to find problems, it's just that she notices things most people ignore. The off-timing in someone's reply, the hesitation in their voice, the small lie that sounds harmless but isn't. Imagine a situation where she's in a business setting and everything looks great on the surface. Everyone's excited, already making plans, but she pauses. Something doesn't feel right. Maybe it's the way someone dodged a question or how the numbers didn't line up just right. She steps back, declines the offer, walks away. Later on, the whole thing falls apart. People say, "Wow, you got lucky." She didn't. She just trusted her instincts and acted early. It's the same in relationships. She can sense when someone's not being real, even if they're putting on a good show. She says, "This feels off," and people laugh it off. But months later, when the truth shows up, she's already moved on, not surprised, just prepared. Sigma females don't chase validation. They don't explain their every move. They trust what they feel, even if it makes others uncomfortable. They're not paranoid, they're just ahead of the game, and when the truth finally arrives, they're already long gone. Calm, collected, unbothered, just moving with clarity, while the rest are still catching up. Number 8. Truth becomes a burden, not a blessing. There's a quiet kind of heaviness that shows up when you start seeing things clearly. Sigma females know exactly what that feels like. Once they notice the truth behind people's actions, behind systems built to control rather than support, or behind the polite lies people use to survive, there's no way to unsee it. And it doesn't make them feel powerful. It makes them feel alone. Most people think truth brings freedom, that once you understand the real picture, you feel lighter. But for Sigma females, truth often feels like a weight. Not because they can't handle it, but because they can see how much others pretend not to. And standing in that space between what's real and what people choose to believe is a deeply isolating place. Picture her sitting at the dinner table, surrounded by people laughing, making plans, chasing things that don't feel solid. She wants to be present, she wants to engage, but in the back of her mind, she's already seen through the noise. She sees what's missing, what's fake, what no one wants to name, and that makes it hard to feel connected. It makes her quiet, not because she doesn't care, but because she does. She doesn't push the truth on people. She doesn't correct them or try to be the voice of reason in every conversation. But she doesn't play along either. She knows most people only want the truth when it fits their version of the world. And when it doesn't, they call her too cold, too distant, too much. So she carries it quietly. The truth, the knowing, the clarity. She doesn't expect applause. She just moves through life awake, even when it hurts. That's the price of seeing clearly. And even if it sets her apart, she'll keep choosing honesty over ease every time, because for her, pretending is the real burden. Number 9. They see when love is transactional. Sigma females don't get swept up by charm or big gestures. They've seen too many people dress up control and call it love. So when someone comes in with compliments, grand promises, or sudden emotional intensity, they don't fall for it. They pause. Not because they fear love, but because they understand how often love is used as currency. You know, that quiet pressure that shows up after someone does something kind, the unspoken rule that now you owe them something back, maybe not money, but your time, your energy, or your silence. Sigma females notice that instantly. While others are caught in the rush of attention, she's already reading between the lines. She's learned that some people use affection as a tool, a way to get closer, not out of care, but out of control. She's seen love become a trade, and she refuses to play along. When someone changes their behavior overnight, suddenly becoming warm or overly attached, she doesn't take it at face value. She steps back and asks herself, what shifted? What's really going on here? She's not overthinking. She's being clear. This ability rattles people who are used to using love as a way to manipulate. They expect their affection to disarm her, but it doesn't. She doesn't confuse attention for connection. She doesn't confuse pressure for intimacy. That's why emotionally manipulative people don't last around her. They can't guilt her into staying. They can't love bomb their way into her trust, and when they realize she won't play along, they get frustrated. She doesn't fight. She just disconnects. For a Sigma female, love isn't about getting something in return. It's a free choice, not a silent contract. So the moment it starts to feel like a transaction, she doesn't explain herself. She just leaves, quietly, fully, for good. She's not heartless, she just knows what love isn't. Number 10. They see through people, not just around them. Sigma females don't just watch people, they study them, quietly, carefully. Not out of paranoia, but because they've learned that what's loudest in a person usually isn't the truth. They pick up on things others miss. The hesitation before a compliment, the glance that lingers too long, the tone shift when someone feels threatened. You can be polite, polished, and say all the right things. But if your words and your energy don't line up, she will notice. If you pretend to be generous but keep score, she sees it. If you act kind but compete for attention, she won't miss it. She's not looking for flaws. She's just paying attention. Most people try to perform their way through life. They build stories, wear personas, and expect those around them to play along. But Sigma females don't play along. They don't react to the image you're showing. They respond to what's underneath it. She watches what you don't say, what you skip over, the way you act when the spotlight isn't on you. That's where the truth lives. And once she sees it, there's no going back. You won't hear her call you out or question you. She'll just adjust her distance. People often sense this and don't know why they feel uneasy around her. They'll say she's intense or difficult to read, but what they really mean is she sees too much. And most people are not used to being seen that clearly. She doesn't go around announcing it. She doesn't say, "I see who you really are." She doesn't need to. Her actions shift. Her presence pulls back. You won't even notice at first. It's not rejection, it's recognition. She's not punishing you. She's just not pretending with you. She doesn't dislike people. She just doesn't trust the act. Number 11. They detect fear masquerading as confidence. Some people walk around acting like they've figured it all out. Loud opinions, constant bragging, always trying to be the smartest person in the room. At first glance, it looks like confidence. But Sigma females see something different. Fear. They know real confidence doesn't have to prove itself. It doesn't dominate conversations or name drop for attention. It doesn't force laughter or interrupt others to feel important. Sigma women pick up on the cracks. The nervous eye flickers when no one's clapping. The shift in tone when someone smarter walks in. The overcompensation masked as charisma. They catch all of it, because they've seen it up close. Maybe it was that manager who always acted superior but couldn't handle being challenged. Or the friend who gave constant advice but broke down when life didn't go their way. Sigma women don't judge it, but they see through it. They also know how dangerous fake confidence can be. It's often used to cover control issues, jealousy, or unhealed pain, and if you're not careful, you'll end up second-guessing yourself around people who are just bluffing their way through life. That's why Sigma females keep a certain distance. They're not impressed by loud voices or flashy lifestyles. They pay attention to who can sit in silence, who can admit when they're wrong, who doesn't need applause to feel enough. In a world that rewards surface-level charm, Sigma women aren't easily fooled. They watch. They read the room. They feel the tension that others ignore. And when someone's wearing confidence like a costume, they don't tear it off. They simply adjust their position quietly, calmly, because they know pretending never lasts, and the truth always finds a way to show itself. Sigma females don't chase status. They study character, and that's what makes them powerful in a way that cannot be faked. Number 12. They realize some relationships only work. If they shrink, there comes a point where a Sigma woman notices something off in certain relationships. It's not always loud, it's not always obvious, but it's there, a subtle pressure to be less ambitious, less outspoken, less sure of herself. And when she stops shrinking to make others comfortable, the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, the people who used to cheer her on go quiet. They stop calling, or they start throwing backhanded compliments like, "You've changed," or "Don't forget where you came from." What they really mean is, "You stopped playing small so I could feel big." This doesn't just happen in romantic relationships. It happens in families, in friendships, at work. It's the coworker who loved you until your ideas started getting noticed. It's the friend who celebrated you until your growth started making them uncomfortable. It's the partner who admired your independence until it meant they couldn't control you. Sigma women don't stay in those setups. They don't play down their success to protect someone else's ego. They don't water themselves down just to be easier to swallow. Once they recognize the cost of keeping the peace, they walk away, quietly but completely. They've learned that love which only survives when they shrink isn't really love. It's insecurity disguised as connection. People say they want strong women until they meet one who doesn't apologize for her strength, a woman who doesn't dim her light so someone else can shine brighter, and that's where the discomfort begins. But Sigma women don't fear discomfort. They understand that growing means outgrowing, and not everyone will make it to the next version of them. They don't cut people off to be cruel. They do it to protect their wholeness. Because the moment you stop shrinking for others, you stop living for them, and start living for yourself. And that changes everything. Conclusion. What happens when a woman sees through everything people try to hide? That's the question most don't want to answer. Because when a Sigma female sees through someone's games, their masks, their silent agendas, she doesn't explain herself. She simply moves different. And that shift alone makes people uncomfortable. Most people are used to being misunderstood. But being seen clearly, that's another story. And Sigma females do it without effort. They pick up on tone, they read silence, they catch the tension behind a smile. They don't look for drama, they just refuse to pretend when something feels off. This awareness isn't easy to carry. It comes with isolation, it comes with being labeled cold or too intense. But here's what you need to remember. The ability to see what others don't is not a curse. It's power. And if you're one of those women who notices the details no one talks about, who sees what lies beneath, you're not too much. You're just ahead. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to follow the script. Your vision might cost you comfort, but it gives you clarity. And clarity will always lead you somewhere real, somewhere true. So don't dim your insight just to make others feel safe. Let them misunderstand you. Let them guess. Your strength isn't in explaining yourself. It's in trusting what you see, moving with quiet confidence, and building a life that doesn't need permission. You don't owe the world softness when it tries to break your sharp edges. You owe yourself peace. Keep seeing what others miss, and keep walking through it like you were born to. Because you were. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.